Hey everyone, it's Misty here. Thank you so much for joining me. Hello, long time no see. Hi. So it's been probably almost 7 weeks since my last update. I'm honestly not 100% positive how long it's been, but a lot has happened since the last time you've seen my face, and we're going to talk about it today. When did I post that update? Come on, YouTube Studio. What are we doing? April 16th. So yeah. What is that? 6 weeks? 7 weeks? Hi. Hello. Hey. So, in today's video, we're going to talk about what happened with the neurosurgeon. We're going to talk about why I was in the hospital and just kind of an update about where I am, what's been going on. As you can probably hear, I am sick, and I've been sick for a little bit now, but I want to do this video in chronological order so I can hopefully remember everything that I want to talk about. I did just have a breathing treatment about 45 minutes ago, so if I sound a little winded, I am a little winded, and again, we'll talk about that, but I want to, again, go in chronological order so I can remember. So the last time I saw you guys, I was waiting on new MRI images and then a visit with the neurosurgeon. And that was scheduled, the images were scheduled for the 26th, and the neurosurgeon was scheduled for the 30th. And then of course my birthday falls on the 29th. So kind of like that little 4-day weekend was very stressful. It's starting on the 26th. So if you didn't know, if you're new here, hi, this is not the best video for you to start out with, but here we go. I have been documenting my journey since 2017. This, undiagnosed sweetness, thought it was myasthenia, now it's muscular dystrophy, but also neck stuff. So it's been a lot going on, and it's been a rough year and a half for sure. So I was waiting on new imaging and then the neurosurgeon to talk about possible surgery, etc. That's kind of where I left you guys off. In my last video, I was like, my doctor said maybe a total spine surgery. I was like very, very, very nervous. Well, with all that is the weather. And I am someone who has crippling storm anxiety from growing up in southern Oklahoma, from my mother coming in middle of the night, throwing on the light, yelling at us to get up and get clothes on. We got to get in the cellar. There's a tornado coming. Just all of it. So I have had severe crippling storm anxiety my whole entire life. It doesn't help that I've had several close calls with tornadoes too. But yeah, so on the 26th, 15 minutes before I'm due to go have these MRIs done, we go under a tornado watch. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I had them done at a hospital, and me and the person who was admitting me, we just traded stories back and forth about storms and being scared and all of this stuff. And luckily, I'd asked for a sedative because I do have some claustrophobia. And thank God for that, or I probably would have lost my brain. But the issue was, whoever scheduled my MRIs, instead of scheduling them back to back to back, so I had all 3 levels, my cervical, which is my neck, thoracic is like your rib cage, and then my lumbar spine. Instead of scheduling them back to back to back, she put a 30-minute break in between each one and scheduled someone in those breaks. So I was there from 12:30 to 4:30. By the time we got to my last MRI, I said, listen, my sedative has worn off. I said, I will do my best. And he had apologized the whole entire time. He's like, I'm not sure why she scheduled them like this. She's like, he's like, I can't do all of yours and then put everybody else. I said, I get it. I do. I understand. But he's like, you're claustrophobic? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, you've done really well. And I'm like, that's because I don't want to have to do these again. Like, I don't want to have to repeat the images. And there were over 500. So anyway, got that done, got home, no storms, thank goodness. Next morning, woke up, and we've been in this weather pattern now, 2 months. We're expecting storms again today. I'm filming this on June 3rd. Is it June 3rd? Monday, June 3rd? I don't even know what day of the week it is. I think it's Monday, June 3rd. So anyway, oh my gosh. So Saturday, woke up, bad weather, so got on the radar and noticed that there's a storm in Wichita Falls that already has a tornado warning. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon. So growing up in southern Oklahoma, we knew that if something came up through Monte County, Wichita Falls, Jack, etc., that it had the potential to be very serious. So I texted my brother and I was like, there's a storm in Wichita Falls. It already has a tornado warning. It's not moving. Keep an eye on the weather. So a few hours later, texted him again. I'm like, listen, that storm still has barely moved. You need to really pay attention to the weather. So he ended up going and staying with a friend who had a cellar. And thank goodness that he did, because there were like 4 or 5 tornado warnings in that area. So I'm talking about the 2 tornadoes. One of them hit Marietta and one of them hit Sulphur. Well, I grew up right in the middle in the Ardmore area. So Ardmore is basically directly between Marietta and Davis Sulphur. And there was even a over in a neighborhood where we had just had Boone's birthday party at a park. So it was just such a scary night. And it's really hard to be here and have people you love be there. And again, all of this crippling storm anxiety. And then a couple of days later, I don't know if it was my birthday or the day after, I can't remember. There was another storm. This time it started in Lawton. And it was like 11:45 at night. It had gotten so close to where my brother was. I was like, had a panic attack in bed about whether or not I should call him. And finally I just called him and woke him up. And I was like, listen, that storm in Lawton has made it there. And it still has a tornado warning. So he got up and watched the weather. And I felt awful. But at the same time, I was like, if something were to happen, I don't think I would have survived it. So yeah. So anyway, we have been under storms and tornadoes. And just the other day, the Tuesday, like it was Memorial Day, and then that very next day, we were woken up at 5:30 a.m. by the tornado sirens. We have one like right outside our house. And then because they were having, a thunderstorm was moving in and was having those, what do they call it? Derecho or whatever, the hurricane winds or whatever. And so we're sitting there in bed watching, and then all of a sudden the phone goes off with a tornado warning because there's circulation nearby. So it's me, Rob, and Roxy in our little, it's not a cellar, but it's a storm shelter in the garage. And it literally sounds like our whole house was being lifted up. The wind was just crazy. So it's been a rough few weeks with the weather. And we're supposed to get storms again today. And listen, I'm not going to complain about the rain because it's better than a drought. But I am ready for the humidity to break because the humidity is what's been killing me here lately. And so yeah. Okay, so that was that. So on my birthday, I had a rough birthday. My birthday's the 29th of April. I went and had my Spravato, and then came home, and it was just a hard day because there was so much unknown. There was so much uncertainty and stress about the neurosurgeon appointment on the 30th, which was the next day. So, went and saw the neurosurgeon the next day, and she was like, did you look at your images? And she asked me that a couple of times, and I'm like, can I even access those on my own computer? Like, can I put the disc in? Anyway, she's like, there's over 500 images. She said, what we thought was the case is still true. She's like, you definitely need a fusion from C2 to T2. She said, there is definitely more damage. She said, it's not rapid. Like there hasn't been a rapid degeneration or whatever you want to call it. She said, it definitely has degenerated. Like it's gotten worse. She said, but it hasn't like gotten worse exponentially or whatever word you want to use. Hold on, I need something to drink. So I was like, okay. She said, you definitely need the C2 to T2 fusion. And I said, what about the lumbar spine? And she said, your lumbar spine actually looks good. She said, your back pain. I was like, I'm not having back pain in my lower back. I'm having nerve pain. And she was like, it has to be peripheral. She said, because there's nothing on, your spinal column in that area that is showing that you have any kind of pinched nerve or anything. And I said, yeah, the other neurosurgeon had said it's kind of off to the side at L1, L2. And he said a laminectomy wouldn't do it. It would have to be a fusion. And she said possibly in the future. She said, but for right now, I feel like we should just do C2 to T2 because that is where you need it the most. And she said, we need to do it within the year. And So she said, I said, is there any risk involved with me waiting? Like, how long should I wait? And she said, the only real difference from, you and a normal healthy person is that if you were in a car accident, you have a higher chance of it being something that could put you, in a chair for life. Like, but she's like, I don't want you to go through life living in fear that you're going to have this car accident and be completely paralyzed. She said, but that really is the only main concern other than the weakness and stuff that I've already been having. So she said, you think about a date. I do surgeries on Thursdays and Fridays, and we'll have her little medical assistant came in, and we talked, and I said August 30th. And she said, okay, August 30th. So there were a couple of reasons. Number one, that's Labor Day weekend, and Rob is already off. So she does surgeries on Thursdays and Fridays. The 30th is a Friday. His job gives him Friday and the Monday of. So like Memorial Day, he got Friday and the Monday of. So it would already be a 4-day weekend. She said that it would be an 8 to 10 hour surgery, which I already knew. She said that it would probably be 3 to 4 day recovery in the hospital, possibly longer. And I asked to go from the hospital to a rehab center, and she agreed that that's probably the best thing that I could do. And it also is kind of the ideal time because I cannot take anti-inflammatories once the surgery happens because anti-inflammatories will hinder the fusion process. And the whole point of this is to have the bones fuse together so there's no more issues. So I can't have an anti-inflammatory, and you guys know I have chronic inflammation. The FSHD causes inflammation. I have rheumatoid arthritis, which is an inflammatory disease. I've got regular arthritis. So I deal with a lot of inflammation, and winter is the hardest time for me. Like November through February is like the hardest time for me when it comes to dealing with inflammation and stuff. So it was like, okay, if I have it done in August, she said 8 to 12 weeks, for healing, etc. So that would put us right at November, etc. And hopefully I would be able to get through the rest of winter with, without my anti-inflammatories. It's also the date. My rheumatologist was like, you need to have it at least 8 weeks from your last infusion. So I have an infusion on, I think, the 12th of June. So that would have been, 10 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, I think, between my infusion and the surgery. And so it was just kind of the best time frame for everyone involved. And that changed overnight. So this starts back on Mother's Day weekend. It started with Rob losing a work friend. Someone he'd known for over 20 years. I'd known her since Rob and I had been together. She normally took the week of her birthday off, which is the first week of May. Her birthday was May 9th, I think. And so, so she was online like Monday, and then like she had to work Monday, Tuesday, but she had the rest of the week off. So Rob's like, I just saw her online for a second, and then she went offline, and it was like Friday, and he's like, I texted her yesterday, happy birthday, and she didn't text me back. He said, I'm a little worried. And because she always, like, she would, even if she was busy or something, she would at least say thank you to his text. So we didn't hear anything until Sunday. He's like, oh, my big boss is calling. And I said, he's probably calling about her. And come to find out, he was. She had passed away in her sleep the day before her birthday. And it was a huge shock because she wasn't in bad health that we knew of. She did not have the best diet. She ate out every day. Lunch was every day at Whataburger. Like, she didn't cook ever at her house. So her diet wasn't the best, but it was still a huge shock. And it's been a little weird dealing with it. I don't even know. It kind of feels like when my grandmother died, because it was like so far removed. I hadn't seen her since COVID. Rob hadn't seen her since COVID because they were working in the office together. And stuff. He'd gotten her the job there. So anyway, it was such a weird time, and time has just gone so fast. So anyway, Mother's Day weekend, Rob developed a cough, and not a little like, I mean, like You guys, he was coughing. I felt like he was coughing every 30 seconds, and I was about to lose my ever-loving mind. If you didn't know, I can't handle noise like that. Like clicky noises, repeated noises. Really, I have a really hard time with. Hold on. I need to take a breath. And I need to blow my nose. I'll be right back. Okay. Okay, so Mother's Day weekend, Rob develops a cough. And it's a rough cough. It's a deep cough. It sounds like it's in his chest. And I think it started maybe Friday. And by Sunday, I was like, you've got to go to the doctor tomorrow if you don't feel well. I said, because this is just getting to be, I was about to lose my mind. No lie. So Monday, he goes to the Minute Clinic. Excuse me. And she was like, she thought it was strep. Came back negative. She's like, yeah, we haven't seen COVID or the flu here. And I'm like, well, did she test you for COVID? And he was like, no. It's like, well, she hasn't seen COVID or the flu because she's not testing for COVID or the flu. So anyway, she said he had allergies and sent him home with an antibiotic and a cough pill. And I said, bullshit. I said, I call bullshit on that. I said, this is not allergies. I said, I know people who have debilitating seasonal allergies who don't sound like you've sounded the last 3 days. I said, I call bullshit. And I said, plus, if it's just allergies, why do you have an antibiotic? You only need an antibiotic if you have some kind of infection. So that was Monday. And he started taking his medicine and he started feeling better. And then on Thursday of that week, I started having a little scratchy throat. Friday, ears clogged up. Saturday, my head was full and I needed my nebulizer. So I have allergy-induced asthma. I've had it since like 2015. I didn't have any issues with it from like 2017 until 2023 when I got COVID. Since I've had COVID, I've had more issues with it. So I have a nebulizer and I have a rescue inhaler. So this is the Saturday after Mother's Day. By this point, I'm doing my nebulizer like 3 times a day, having a hard time breathing because of the humidity. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday was really struggling. Tuesday felt a little bit better. Let me pull up my calendar so I know what date we're on. This is the Tuesday before Memorial Day weekend. So the 21st. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, so Tuesday the 21st, I'm feeling a little bit better. Wednesday, the 22nd, I actually sit down and film a video to post on this channel. And in that video, I'll talk about how I hadn't felt well, but I was feeling a little bit better. And then all of a sudden, after I filmed that video, I got the chills. And I was like, oh no. So Rob comes home from bowling. I'm on the couch with an electric blanket turned all the way up to high because I've got the chills and I'm about to freeze to death. So go to bed, take some medicine, go to bed, wake up the next morning. So this is Thursday. I don't know what it is about Thursdays, but something about Thursdays in my body. I woke up that morning and I honestly thought I had DKA again, diabetic ketoacidosis. I was so lethargic and couldn't stay awake, couldn't breathe. And so I woke up and took my ketones. My ketones were fine. I took my temperature. My temperature was 103. And it was literally like a switch had flipped because I was okay Wednesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, I felt okay. I woke up Thursday morning, I had a high fever, and I could not breathe. I could not breathe. And I told her, I was like, we got to go to the hospital. So I'm trying to get a shower and everything. So in Texas, there's alleys. So we have our garages in the back. So there's an alley. So there's a row of houses, an alley, a street, and the parking lot to the hospital, then the hospital. We are literally that close to the hospital. So close that Rob walked to see me every day that I was in the hospital. Well, I thought we were going to have to call 911 to come get me to the hospital because I couldn't breathe. And I was struggling trying to get a breath, to get some clothes on, to get in the car, to get to the emergency room. Finally got there. What's going on? I'm like, I'm having trouble breathing. My chest is really tight. I've did my rescue inhaler and that hasn't helped. And I said, I just feel like I was like, I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. And I had this really high fever. So they get me back and the doctor comes in and they've done chest x-ray. He's like, well, your chest x-ray is fine. You don't sound, your lungs don't sound full or anything like that. You sound fine. He's like, but you do have a fever. So you have an infection. We're going to keep you for a little bit because we're going to give you some antibiotic through the IV. Okay, cool. So Rob comes home to finish a job that was due. And so while he's gone, they take me for a CT scan of my chest. And we have a running joke. I call it monias because he's from Massachusetts. So it'll be 45 degrees outside. And I'm all layered up and he's in like shorts and a t-shirt. And I'm always like, you're going to catch monias. You're going to get monias, which is pneumonia. So, well, the doctor walks in. He's like, well, you've got pneumonia. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, what? So I actually had double pneumonia. I had pneumonia in both lungs. I think I still have pneumonia in both lungs. So anyway, that was Thursday. And I was like, I texted Rob and I was like, I have pneumonias. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, I have pneumonia. I don't know how that happened. And again, the craziest thing was I didn't feel bad. Like I didn't feel bad that night, the night before. I woke up that morning, again, feeling like I was going to like literally die because I could not breathe. But I didn't feel bad. You know what I mean? I thought I was over it. So they get me admitted, get me upstairs, and I meet I have a pulmonologist, I have an infection doctor, and I have a regular doctor, an internal medicine doctor. And so they start doing all these tests and trying to figure out what infection I have. Because clearly I have an infection because I have fever. So, and pneumonia is a virus, I think. And what's crazy is I just had the vaccine like back in November. And my body had zero response to it. So anyway, so they get me admitted. And I am on an antibiotic and a steroid through my IV probably 12 times, like probably 12 or 15. That's not an exaggeration. That's not hyperbole. Every time I turned around, they were coming in and starting me on a new antibiotic and a new steroid through my IV. So I get admitted and they're like, we know you have pneumonia. We're going to, they came in and did breathing treatments like every 3 hours, I think. I was getting all of these medications. And the infection doctor was like, we really need a mucus sample. We need you to spit up whatever is in your chest. I never had anything in my chest. Ever. And the whole entire time I was in the hospital. Nothing in my chest. Do you have something in my chest now? Mm-hmm. So they're running all these tests, and I guess they're having to grow the bacteria to see what it is. I had the roughest time in the hospital. The hospital people were lovely. All of my nurses were great. My doctors were fan-fucking-tastic. Like, probably some of the best doctors I've ever experienced in a hospital, ever. None of it was about my weight. It was all about what was going on in my body. Like, there wasn't any kind of weight loss surgery talk, anything like that. It was just, this is what we're trying to fix, and we're going to fix it before we let you go. So I was admitted on Thursday, and I was released on Sunday. By the time I was released, my lungs were basically clear. I was sent home with another stretch of prednisone and another antibiotic. I just finished the antibiotic today. So I've been home now. This is my 8th day home, and I feel worse today than I did when I was admitted into the hospital a week and a half ago. So Friday I was enrolled in home health. The physical therapist came, I think it was Friday morning, and she wanted to hear me and see me walk and stuff like that. And we talked about how I have, muscular dystrophy and had this muscle weakness, and I was going to have surgery and all of these things. So she recommended home health, physical therapy, but also a doctor. Like the doctors wanted me to have a home health nurse. So I saw one on Friday. I'm going to see one twice a week, physical therapy twice a week. I declined occupational therapy. I don't feel like I need it. But yeah, so I am waiting on a nurse for this week to decide if I need to go back to the doctor. Unfortunately, I couldn't make a follow-up appointment with my own doctor until like the end of June. I went ahead and made the appointment, and with the knowledge that if I felt worse, I would just go back to the hospital, and I may have to do that. And then my wrist, you guys remember back in March, I had sprained my wrist, and I didn't wear the wrist guard long enough. Well, I started having pain up into my thumb, so I bought this immobilizer. While I was in the hospital, no issues whatsoever. The minute I get home, I turn my wrist a weird way, it pops, and now I'm back in this. I'm hoping physical therapists can help with that. So, had the hardest time in the hospital. Of course, they were coming in like every 3 hours, but the bed was the most uncomfortable hospital bed I've ever been in, and my tailbone was bruised. Like, it's still tender because of the way I was sitting, and there's a bar in the most unopportune place, and no matter how far I scooted myself up the bed, I would still slide down, and my hip would still be on that bar. And they had the IV in my right elbow, in the crook of my elbow right here. So I had to lay with my arm straight. And so I wasn't able to like get comfortable in bed. They were coming in. The first couple of night nurses and techs were like really quiet. They wouldn't turn the light on. They'd come in. The next 2 nights, lights on, slamming the door. And so the doctors come in, and he was like, "Are you ready to go home?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "How'd you sleep?" I said, "I haven't." He's like, "What?" I was like, "I haven't slept in 3 days." I said, "I can barely get a nap in here." And he's like, "Oh." And I said, "I feel like I could sleep for 5 days." And I got out of hospital, I came home and took a 5-hour nap, was up 3 hours, and then slept for like 15 hours. Like, I just slept and slept and slept those first few days out of the hospital. So yeah, so I ended up in the hospital with double pneumonia and RSV. So yeah, I was in the hospital for 4 days. I do feel like maybe I need to go back. I'm hoping that I don't. I was able to not have a breathing treatment a couple of days last week, but like I said, I feel like I'm getting worse instead of better. When the home health nurse was here Friday to enroll me, she's like, "You still got a little bit of wheezing in that right lung." So again, I'm supposed to have a nurse come twice this week. Hopefully she'll come in like today or tomorrow or Wednesday, and let me know if I need to go back to the doctor. So yeah, that's everything that happened. So it was either Saturday or Sunday, I don't remember. I was sitting on the side of the bed. Oh, and I got a haircut because I was like, oh, if I'm going to have this surgery, I'm going to go back to Pixie. And for some reason, this time it felt a little harder for me to cut my hair. Normally I can go long, short, no problem. But this time I was like, oh, I don't know. So I cut my hair down a little bit, and I did put some red on it. Anyway, so I was sitting on the side of the bed, and I was sitting there trying to imagine being on the side of the bed with this 50-inch long incision on my back, and just trying to get up and stuff with that type of surgery. And I was like, there's no way on God's green earth I can do this in 3 months. It was 4 months from the day of my appointment that I'd scheduled. So April 30th was the day I saw the neurosurgeon. I scheduled it for August 30th. That was going to be 4 months. My goal for those 4 months was to do alternate day fasting and get as much weight off as quickly as I could. That was my goal. And I still wanted to do that, but I canceled my surgery. Well, I shouldn't say canceled it. I postponed it until next year because I was sitting on the side of the bed on Saturday, and I was like, there's no way on God's green earth I'm going to be ready to do this in 4 months. There's just no way. I mean, we're almost 3 weeks in to this now, and I'm not any better. So it's like, there's no way on God's green earth I'm going to be ready to have that big of a surgery in just a few short months, while still trying to recover from double pneumonia and RSV. So I reached out to the neurosurgeon and was like, if you're agreeable, I'd really like to take this off calendar until like April, May of next year. She was 100% okay with that. Again, within a calendar year, so April, May next year, I think will be perfect. I feel like it'll give me plenty of time to get more weight off. That's kind of my main objective, is to get as much weight off as possible. It's going to be a hard surgery anyway. Even normal sized people really struggle with the incision and stuff. So I want to be in the best health possible. And again, I haven't gotten any better. I'm just getting worse. And so it's like, if I'm going to have to do this again, and like another hospital stay or something like that, I just don't think having surgery at the end of August is a good idea. I just don't think it is. And maybe this is my body's way of saying, no, we're not ready. But yeah. So I went in the hospital. Of course, they were giving me all these steroids. So my blood sugar was out of control. And they were giving me so much insulin. The last night, the Saturday night, I was sitting on the side of the bed and I called and I was like, my blood sugar's low. And it had been in the 200s. I said, my blood sugar's low. I said, it's real low. And they came in and it was like 60. So we spent the next 8 hours trying to get it back up with orange juice, and I was eating honey grams with peanut butter, like just all of these carbs. And when I woke up again in the next morning, it was like 65. And it was like, Jesus, Mary and Josephine, you guys. And I was like, okay, you guys are just pumping me full of insulin, pumping me full of steroid. I am going to be humongous when I leave the hospital. And actually, I weighed in Friday at 325. And that's the lowest adult weight I think I've had since 2006. I'll have to go back and watch the last day of fasting, my 21-day water fast. Rob seems to think I was smaller then. I honestly don't remember. So yeah, so that's all of it. That was a rambling mess, but it's been a lot. It's been a lot. And like I said, I am not feeling any better. I am feeling worse. As far as the breathing stuff, like my chest will just get real tight. And it's not my heart, it's my chest, like it's my lungs. It just feels like someone is squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. And the more they're squeezing, the tighter it's getting. Like I said, they were coming in, I don't know what they were putting in the breathing treatment. It was albuterol and something else. It was some kind of powder. Because I remember just having powder all over my face from these breathing treatments. But yeah, I just finished my last antibiotic today. And again, I don't know. I feel like I sound worse than I did when I went in the hospital. Because again, I had been fine. I was feeling better and it was like a switch flipped. And I woke up with that fever and it was all downhill from there. So yeah, that's that's what's been going on in my life. Like I said, I didn't start having mucus and stuff until I got home. In the hospital, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what. I think it's crazy that it was not only pneumonia, but double pneumonia. And the ER doctor was basically like, nah, you're fine. Chest x-ray's clear. I don't even know why he did a CT scan. The only thing I can think of is he was worried that I had a pulmonary embolism or something because I was complaining about my chest being tight. And I kept telling him, I was like, it's not my heart. It's like right here in the center of my chest. It's tight. And I'm prone to chondroitis, I think is what it's called. Inflammation in the chest wall. I've had that several times. I'm like, is it just that? But every time I've had a breathing treatment, it just releases and I just feel so much better. And there's something about like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening. That's when I've needed one the most. And I don't know if it's because I'd gone all day without one at that point. But yeah, it's been a struggle. I just did I don't remember what they're called, but it's the one where you suck in the air and it measures how much. My ability to do that has like gone in half. So I'm going to have to be a little bit more diligent about it. And about the breathing treatments too. So yeah, so that morning we had to go in the shelter. I was like, I got to take my inhaler with me because it's human AF. And I was terrified that I was going to have some kind of asthma attack in our little shelter in our garage with Roxy and Rob. So yeah, that's where we're at. So my goal going forward is to get as much weight off as I can. I'm not setting a number goal. I do want to transition into alternate day fasting. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it for a little bit. I just think that my body is going to need more time than that to kind of move away from like OMAD. I've been doing about 1 meal a day since I've been home. Of course, in the hospital, 3 meals a day. I didn't have much of an appetite at all, especially that last day. I don't know what the fuck it was supposed to be, but it was not good. The rest of the time, most of the meals were fine. But that last meal, that lunch on Sunday was supposed to be like teriyaki chicken or something. It was gross. Even the rice was gross. And that was the thing with the doctor. I was like, your blood sugar's high. I'm like, yeah. I said, because you have me eating 60 carbs a meal. I don't even eat 60 carbs in a week. And he's like, well, we can bring the carbs down. He brought it down to 50. And it's like, I wasn't able to get extra protein. So it's like, it's always a struggle. Going in the hospital as a diabetic is a struggle. Because they put me on a heart-healthy diet. Yet, we're talking about 60 carbs a meal, and my blood sugar was in the 400s, 500s. It's like, okay, you have me on a steroid, and you're feeding me a shit ton of carbs. I was like, yeah, my blood sugar's high. Yeah, I get it. They were giving me blood thinners the whole entire time. I didn't have a single bruise from the blood thinner, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, insulin, they were poking my finger. That's another thing that happened. My insurance doesn't cover anything. Dexcom, Libre, Freestyle, like it covers one touch meter and one touch strip, and that's it. So I can't get my Dexcom sensors. I mean, it's just been a rough few weeks, you guys. 46. 45 ended and 46 has not been any better, let me tell you. The highlight of all of this has been strawberry shortcake. You guys know I have been clinging to nostalgia, and my brother got me this huge lot of the little figurines, and it came with the actual 1979 dolls. So I've started collecting those again. As soon as I feel better, I'll get my display set up and show it to you guys. So yeah, if anybody wants to buy me strawberry shortcake dolls, 1979, just let me know. I'll send you a list. But yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm so, yesterday was the first day I hadn't taken a nap since being released from the hospital. And yesterday was 7 days. So I felt so much better. And now I'm not feeling great again. So I don't know if we're just back at it or what's going on. But I can't get into my regular doctor. We're not going back to the Minute Clinic. This is the second time she said it's just allergies for him. There's no way on God's green earth. Because the pulmonologist walks in, he's like, okay, who did you get it from? And Rob's like, I guess me. And I was like, he's the only person I've been around other than going to the doctor. And we haven't been masking. It's like, we're going to have to mask going out. And until I can get, better. I see my immunologist next month. I have an infusion this month. Is that next week? Shit, I need to order a car. Yeah, I think that's next week. So anyway, yeah, that's where I've been. That's where I've been. So, double pneumonia, RSV. And I don't know that I'm over it. So, yeah, thank you. So many of you guys have reached out. So many of you have left really nice comments. I really do appreciate you, that you care about me. I feel like I'm in the best spot as far as my mental health. The Spravato is helping. I was due for a Spravato treatment last week, and I think I'll have to put it off till maybe next week, because I've been sick, and I don't want to infect anybody there, and I don't even know if an inhalant is a good idea right now. Like, there's so many unknowns that I have really no idea what's going to happen. So yeah, anyway, let's eat. So originally had surgery scheduled for the end of August. We have since rescheduled that for a year from now. Double pneumonia, RSV, hoping I'm getting over that. Go for the future. Again, I really want to get into alternate day fasting and kind of go from there. But like right now I'm doing OMAD as much. Again, I haven't had much of an appetite at all. So, yeah. But again, I was like, what? When I got on the scale, and I'll see if I can remember to pop up a picture, I was not expecting that. I was actually expecting to be closer to like 360 because, again, steroid, insulin. But yeah, I should have figured that I'm not eating as much. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's a lot. So, if you could, say a prayer for me, I would appreciate it. I don't recommend getting pneumonia. 10 out of 10 would not recommend getting pneumonia. Don't get pneumonia. Don't do it. So yeah, I am, like I said, I'm in a better mental health space. I think if I wasn't, this would have been devastating, because I am ready to have that surgery. I'm ready to get some of my life back. But at the same time, it's like, I have to go into this and be realistic. And if I'm still not over this illness, and, chances are I may have to go back in the hospital if I'm not any better, then I don't want a surgery date looming over my head in 2 months, in 6 weeks, in 4 weeks, because what if I'm still sick? So yeah, and because I called my immunologist, because I'm like, listen, double pneumonia and RSV is, because we talked about doing IVIG, but we decided since I hadn't had an infection in a while, there was no reason to do it. But now it's like, okay, do I need it? Like, should we be doing it? Because that's what I was like, I have CVID, you guys, and I said it's mild, but it's there. So, yeah. Okay, that's enough jibber jabber. I've talked on for 2 hours, I think. Anyway, that's it. Thank you again for reaching out. Those of you who've reached out, those of you who've left comments asking where I've been, etc. Hopefully this video made any kind of sense whatsoever. Again, I don't feel good. I don't feel well at all. And I'm a little worried that I'm going to have to go back in the hospital. Hopefully not. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But I will say that this was probably one of my better hospital stays. And this is the hospital that I refused to go to when I had DKA. Because I was like, they're going to kill me. I can't go there. But I was pleasantly surprised. Again, all the nurses, everybody was just so helpful and thoughtful and nice and empathetic and compassionate. And I was treated like a human by everybody. And that is not something I take for granted. So, yeah. All right. I need to go take it out. I love you guys so much. I'll try to keep you updated, if not in a video, on the community tab. Yeah. All right, guys. I love you. Bye for now.